I want to give the floor to Niloofar YAZDKHASTI, museum curator, mediator, and founder of MuseumMatters. She will give us a presentation of its Iranian museums in regard of two questions. How museums in Iran have faced the closure and reopening, and what preparation they have done. So with an intervention titled The Continuity of Sociocultural Services in the Time of Crisis, Practices of Iranian Museums During Pandemic and Post-Pandemic, Niloofar, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Hello, everybody. Thank you to ICOM Georgia for this possibility. I am glad to be part of this. So let me share my screen with you. As dear Christina have mentioned, I would like to talk about the continuity of social cultural services in the time of crisis, specifically in museums of Iran during pandemic. In order to get to know about the museums of Iran, I would like to start with some general information. Iran has more than 700 museums. At 85% of them are funding directly by the government, and others are semi-private or private museums. In the last decade, museums moved forward to take a more responsible role and to work in active partnership with and for the society. Nowruz or Persian New Year usually occurs on 21st March. That is the most crowded time of Iranian museums, and which is the longest holiday in Iran. For instance, Iranian visitors, it was around 7 million Iranian visitors visited museums during New Year in 2019. So, but this year we have faced with pandemic. The first coronavirus cases have reported in Iran in mid-February, and in order to prevent the spread of coronavirus infection, in mid-March 2020, the government decided to shut down museums while they were preparing to organize special events, programs on the occasion of Persian New Year. This closure caused them to lose their incomes from ticket selling around $5 million for only 2 weeks. And well, this is the remarkable amount for the government of Iran, which is facing economic crisis because of sanctions that will impact the museum function in the long term. So what museum did as soon as the closure announced? Each museum has started to create content through social media in order to raise public awareness regarding healthcare and taking precautions. They were encouraging people to stay home in the New Year holiday, that is the time of greeting and gathering. They also released a reimagined version of some of their outstanding objects with subject done in face mask amid the coronavirus pandemic as a kind of temporary response. And some of the museum staff, on the other hand, were checking the condition of collection, while there was an expectation the closure time would be longer. The coronavirus pandemic was an opportunity, actually, for museums of Iran to increase their digital presence or even appearance and develop digitization and online programs in order to reach audiences. They may help people to stay at home during the quarantine. After, I can say, a couple of weeks or a month, they have developed their online communication. Basically, museums of Iran ran an intercommunication network between themselves. It was a collaboration between the Iranian Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Cultural Heritage, and ICOM National Committee of Iran. This network improved online relationship between museums that used to be offline, providing virtual programs through the national video sharing services, creating initiative and interactive content, and finally organizing curatorial talks and webinars, which some museum organized it with international museum professional, as well as webinars for sharing ideas, experiences at the national level. These following items are online curatorial practices that museums of Iran have been doing it. Online exhibition, museum live visit, museum series, which, for instance, Sadabad Complex released a series with a story of each and every palaces, museums, and gardens that are located inside of this huge complex. It's like I can say, a small town. Virtual tours, live performances, which was very interesting, and storytelling. There is a famous program among Iranian museums called Reading in the Museum. Once a month, it was organizing in different museums, but usually the book is related to the context of the museum. And fortunately, pandemic did not stop them, and now they are organizing it online. Now I would like to invite you to watch the live performance. That was streaming live by Garrett Master Kayhan Kalhor at the Glassware and Ceramic Museum of Iran. Can you? It's not playing. No sound.
No sound.
Okay, let's move my
Well, try to raise the volume, to turn up the volume of the video inside the video.
Actually, I have done this. I don't know.
I wish you could hear it, but it seems it's not possible. Uh, okay, as you may know, traditional music has a significant role in the Iranian lifestyle. And I assume this program, if you could hear it, was like a spiritual treatment to improve mental health and well-being for Iranians. Okay. Considering all groups of people is important in museum services. So accordingly, the International Museum Day team in 2020 emphasized on inclusion, equality, and diversity in museum. So in this regard, two separate projects have started to service to different able groups. First is the one project that titled The Tales of the Museum, aims to tell the stories of the museum across the globe through podcasts for visually impaired community in Persian. And I am doing this program in collaboration with the Cultural Press Agency in Iran. The second one, which is on the right side of the presentation, is the project that is the sign language interpretation of the National Museum Iran, National Museum of Iran. Some museum organize a painting competition for children. So here you can see that obviously that the children want to emphasize that it is the spring, it is the time of gathering, it is the Persian New Year. And at the same time, you can see that she inspired by museum collection. But what were the challenges? There are few museums, honestly, in Iran that digitize their resources, and others they are facing with lack of equipment for digitization. For the internet issues, the issues in both sides. One side is the museums. Some of the small museums may not have a high-speed network connection. And on the other hand is the audiences, because somehow internet is kind of costly in Iran. There are few positions allocated to digital section in Iranian museums, and finally the issue of museum voices, particularly for small museums. But what they have done for the reopening, basically they have released 4 different guidelines. One of them have been shared by the Research Institute of Cultural Heritage and Tourism, which was about the instruction for confronting with coronavirus in museum pandemic. And yesterday they announced that they are going to update it according to the situation. The second one is ICOM, CCO Conservation Committee and National Committee of ICOM Iran. Third one is mostly about traveling during the pandemic by Cultural Heritage, Handicraft and Tourism Organization of Iran. And last one is the recommendation by museum professionals in Iran, which is the pictorial one that I shared it now with you, the English version of it. So it has been a month that most of the museums of Iran, they have reopened. And there are certain guidelines and protocols that they have been pursuing in the following. First of all is the preparation of a specific protocol for audiences to read before visiting museums, providing facilities for online ticket selling and accepting payment only by card, determination of a specific date and time on the ticket for visiting. Before visiting, visitor coming inside of museum, their body temperature must be measured. Wearing mask is mandatory. The delimitation of display areas is recommended. Carrying or using hand sanitizer is forbidden, and they do not admit children under 6 years of age. Museum guide need to inform visitors that only occasional requests will be responded, and tours of more than 6 people are not allowed. Finally, the cafe and restaurant must be closed. And also they have to pay attention to the signs and mark for social distancing and avoid of touching any surfaces. Fortunately, after reopening, still they are continuing their online communication. For instance, Malik National Library and Museum organize its annual even in the form of online program that used to be only offline. And Science and Technology Museums of Iran is still promoting the latest information for our audience to adapt to the new normal life in post-COVID-19. Last but not the least, outcomes of this digital presence are facilitating international communication, wider audiences beyond museum while they have reached to that level. They raise, museum raise public awareness about the pandemic and improvement of museums intercommunication. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that again, the coronavirus cases have been rising in Iran. And as of now, two provenances museums, they have closed their doors again. Thank you.
Thank you, Niloofar, and I really hope and wish you and we all to be safe and to see the end of this pandemic, and that what we call new normality or the normality will come back soon, because we miss it. And thank you for your presentation. There's a question from the audience. As museums professional, do you feel equipped as a digital professional, especially when it involves coming in front of a camera? Go, please go, Niloofar.
Actually, it was a base problem, or better to say challenge, happened to me because usually as Iranian use Persian as a for the interpretation, there are lesser resources about what our museums of Iran are doing, what are the activities, what are the collection, what are the museums. So I have started this, and it was kind of challenging. But as soon as you started and you see the support of not only the people of your country, I think all of us need to contribute. As our speaker, I don't remember his name, but Diana mentioned, he mentioned we have to contribute, we have to share our ideas, our experiences. And I think that thing could not only make up our mind, it tells us that we are not alone. We are all together in the same challenges or even opportunities.
Okay, thank you very much, Niloofar.